can start the recording whenever you want.
Hello, everybody. We'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. So just sit tight, and when the clock strikes 6, we'll get rolling. Again, thanks for being here this evening. Well, hello again. It's a little bit after 6, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Are you getting feedback? Hold on just a second. We got feedback going on our end.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right, sorry about that, folks. We had a little bit of feedback going on, but I think we've got it taken care of. Well, again, thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Mike Cooper. For those of you who don't know me, I spent a little over 20 years in either Fortune 500 or mid-market companies. Gosh, we dealt with some significant stuff, recessions and turnarounds and layoffs and hyper growth. Nothing that quite compares to this. And then after about 20 years in that space, I've also had about 10 years working with small businesses where I got to go through a couple recessions there too. So, you know, we're all in this together. We all probably have some experience with it. And tonight, I just want to share with you a little bit, some things that you can do and people who you know can do just to minimize the impact of this, this pandemic that's sort of crept up on us. The good news is that, pardon me one second. All right, just a note from the staff. The good news is that what I'll be sharing with you tonight doesn't just rely on my knowledge and my background and experience. I'm very fortunate to be part of Action Coach. There's over 1,000 of us in the world, and this is something that from the CEO down, we're monitoring as a group and coming up with best practices, best ideas. So a lot of what I'm going to be able to share with you tonight are things that are being shared and done in other markets. So without further ado, let's get rolling. All right, so the things you're going to want to do this evening to get the most out of this webinar, one suggestion is keep 3 lists. The first list would be things that you must do now. Second list would be things that you want to do soon. And the third list would be things that you want to do on a time frame that would be to be determined. And that's so that at the end, as you're kind of going through this, there's going to be some things that really jump out at you. And you think, I got to do that now. If you wait till the end of the webinar to write those down, at least it's been my experience, I can't always remember the context. So take a minute and write those down. Also, set aside time before the weekend or the end of the weekend at least to develop your plan. Again, time works against us. If we have ideas and things that we know we need to do, sometimes it's good to get cracking on that so that we take advantage of what was on our mind at the time. Of course, take action. Whatever you come up with, you're going to need to adjust it. We're in uncharted territory here, so plan to look at your plan on a weekly basis, if not more, and adjust. And then, really, if you get stuck on any of this and you just want someone to talk to, reach out to me. I'm talking to more business owners now than I probably ever have on a daily basis. And the common denominator is some of them have people that they can reach out to, and some of them are brainstorming with their team. But most of them have really deep concerns about this thing, and are they making the right decision? And they have all these people who work for them who are depending on them to make the right decision. And they don't really want to burden other business owners because they know they've got their set of problems. They can't talk to their employees. So a lot of business owners just want someone to have a second opinion, to offer a second opinion, someone to talk to. So don't hesitate to reach out. My email address is right here. Also, if you request a copy of the PowerPoint, I'll send it to you. And then we will do, I call them chat questions, but only because they'll be in a written form at the end. Next week, I'm going to be doing some more things like this, slightly different topics. And I'm probably going to do them in a meeting format so there can be a little bit more participation. But this is how I set it up this time, and we're going to roll with it and have fun. All right, so step number 1, be positive. Hold on just a second. We've got feedback again, and I'm not sure. Okay, sorry. So be positive. A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, and an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. And I think if ever that has been true, it's now. This is not an easy set of circumstances that we found ourselves in, but we've been through tough things before as a country, as an economy, individually, and mindset is key. We need to combat the tsunami of negative or bad information that we get, and make sure that what we project is what we want our teams to see and our customers to see. We will project what we focus on. So if we spend most of our time listening to negative media, not that we don't need to be informed, but if we don't have some counterbalance, we're going to find ourselves projecting a lot of negativity, and we don't want to do that. That doesn't really serve anybody, right? So have a mindset to thrive, not just survive. What does that mean? So thrive during a downtime? Well, what I mean by that is there are opportunities that are presenting themselves. They might not be immediately apparent, but maybe we have an opportunity to learn something new that we didn't have before. We have time on our hands to learn something new. So in every challenge, there are opportunities, and we need to make sure we have that mindset. So find some positive input. Some ideas might be, I don't know if you've heard of John Gordon. He's a great positive motivational speaker. He's doing current postings on a daily basis about great topics. Then there's folks like Tony Robbins and 100 other folks that have material on YouTube. Just make sure you get your daily dose of something positive. I'm going to try to create some content as well. I'm posting on Facebook, LinkedIn every couple of days, just sharing good news and things that I come up with. Also, there's going to be a weekly call I'm going to start next week, and that's going to have a positivity focus on it. So I'll send out more information about that soon. The other thing that's really important is truth versus head trash. I was talking to a business owner yesterday, and he just said, man, it feels like the world's coming apart. And it just seems like all of my clients are backing out and they want to renegotiate their agreements. And I just had to stop and pause because he's a friend and say, is the world really crashing down? If it is, it hasn't quite shown that yet. And are really all of your clients wanting to reschedule? And the truth was no. He just had some head trash, and all of us can get that sometimes. So I would just recommend, again, get vocal about the positive things that are going on and take a few minutes, share. If you're being positive, share. If you're being negative, probably don't share with anybody. Confide in someone. But 3-minute videos are a big deal right now. 2-minute, 3-minute on an iPhone or an Android. immediately post it to Facebook or other social media. The more raw it is, the better. And speak your heart, speak truth, and speak things that lift people up. We'll get to more of the practical stuff here in a minute. You also want to be speaking to teams, stakeholders, community, social media. And then another thing about being positive, serve. Any way you can help people out, now's a great time to do it. They will remember. And there's nothing wrong with then posting about it on social media. It isn't why you do it, but people ought to know that you're out, you're active, that you're doing things that make a difference. It helps us all. So this gets into the practical stuff. Lead. We know that, but it's more important now than ever to lead. If you don't lead, then you feed the FUD. That's what that should say. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's where chaos grows. Lead your team. Great leaders rarely surprise people with bad news. And I want to talk about this. There may be cuts that you're thinking about or facing in your organization, or you know people who do. And, the worst thing that you can do is just all of a sudden one day, if it's preventable, you've been thinking about it for days or weeks, suddenly just let a whole bunch of people go with no warning. Great leaders, while they don't telegraph everything, they just really try not to surprise people. Your people right now are wondering to some degree, unless you've communicated otherwise, will we make it? And how will we make it? And the most important thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we really communicate with them. I've got a note here, WB, that's just to remind me. Once upon a time, I was put in charge of a plant that was acquired down in Walterboro, South Carolina. And we were 50% sure we were going to shut it down. The vice president told me, don't tell anybody anything. He said, go down there, run the place. Now, this is an acquisition that I was put in charge of. And don't tell people anything because if you tell them too much, they'll leave. And I just couldn't do it. I believed after being there a day, the folks in that plant deserved as much truth as I knew. And I decided instead to share a story with them about what it would take for us to succeed and what it would take for us to keep that plant open and what life would be like for them if they stuck with me through the uncertain times. And God forbid if we had to close the thing, here's the bonus. Here's what we're going to do for you at the end if we have to. And oh, by the way, if you get a job offer while we're in this period of uncertainty, if you'll come to me and you'll talk to me, I'll give you my honest opinion of whether I think you ought to take the job or not. And we had a team of 40 people. There was no walkout. That's the information I shared with them. And that really stuck with me. It was really early in my career. I was in my early 30s. And I think it's applicable now. I didn't tell people everything that I knew the minute that I knew it, but I told them what they needed to know as soon as they needed to know it. And people were able to plan, take advantage of other opportunities, and it ended up being a good thing. There are 4 seasons in life and 4 seasons in business. You've heard of them: spring, summer, winter, and fall. We were just in a long summer, and we skipped straight from fall into a quick winter, at least economically. But the thing that we got to remind people of is this economy will return to spring again. It might be in 2 weeks. It might be in 2 months. It might take longer. We don't know. But we've got to remind people we've been through tough times before, and these seasons do change. Your people want to know your people want you to communicate your level of concern. And as effective leaders, that's what we've got to do. I was talking to a business owner today whose business, it's actually only down 10% or so right now, which isn't bad for a home service business. And he said his biggest concern really is his employees. He's going to be okay through this downturn as long as it's not devastating, but he's worried as heck about having to let people go. And I think that's the heart of most business owners, truthfully. So make sure you communicate your heart and your concern for your people. I think maybe Jennifer Belk is on this call. If you want to see a model in communication, see the way they're communicating to the people who work out of that facility. It's unbelievable. So if you're on the call, thumbs up, you're doing a great job. If she isn't on the call, maybe you can check out her website or her posts and see the type of things that they're doing. Get buy-in for flexibility. Let people know that getting through this thing well with minimal casualties is going to, I think, let's see, Jennifer raised her hand, so maybe she wants to say something. What's that?
Say the business name.
Oh, the Loom Co-working. I'm sorry. And it's in Fort Mills. Thank you, Jennifer, for setting me straight. I get on my own tangent here. But yes, Bloom Co-working in Fort Mill. Jennifer's doing a fantastic job, and thanks for reminding me of that. Let's see. So get buy-in that this is going to require flexibility. We're going to have to establish communication rituals. So let your people know what type of regularity to expect updates. That's if you have a large team. If it's a small team, you know, you can talk to them once a week, once a day. Just get into a ritual. Share your general plan and involve your team in the solutions. That's where the best ideas are going to come from. Or maybe if even the best ideas don't come from there, they're going to see things that you're not going to see because they're probably closer to the action in some cases than you might be. And then again, consider daily team huddles, but you got to limit the time on those things. And during those types of meetings, you want to address client feedback. What are the marketplace realities that are being communicated to you? And then tell the team everything you need to know, everything they need to know when they need to know it. That doesn't mean everything, right? We got to have some prudence. Communication, again, what a great time to build new relationships. Who else can you communicate with? Your customers, open or closed. Are you going to be open or closed? Your networks, super important now because we can't go out and socialize the way we used to and network the way we used to. Call people you haven't talked to, suppliers, stakeholders. And while you're at it, find out their future availability of stock and referrals. Take this time to reach out to people, your community on social media. You know, this is a great opportunity to pick up the phone and reconnect. We're not going to see as many people possibly face to face as we're used to, so at least reach out and touch somebody like they used to say. All right, the other thing, don't argue the facts. We don't need to get into, is this a big deal? Is it not a big deal? It's a big deal. The pandemic chapter is going to be months. The recession chapter is going to be months, maybe longer. The work from home, shop from home, entertainment from home. That's going to be a reality for a lot of people for a while. We don't know how long. We could have a shutter in place, a take cover in place. What do they call it again? Shelter in place. That's what it's called. Shelter in place. That'd be a pretty bad deal. But whatever happens, it isn't going to be forever. You know, your distribution methods may need to change. If you're taking in supplies, supply chains may need to change. Make sure you're checking those things out to make sure they're viable. Your hours may need to change, and certainly your communication is going to need to change. All right, let's get into some super practical stuff. You want to take a look at evaluate your sales history and trends. I don't want to get too deep into this because it can get a little squirrely. Happy to have this conversation one-off. I'm going to offer some times at the end of our time tonight when you can reach out and get on my calendar, no cost. It's just time to talk. Or if you want to have a more in-depth conversation, we can do that too. These are all things we need to be thinking about. I like to do these in Excel. I like to line up the details down the left side, the sales generated leads, number of leads, average dollars per invoice, win rate, down the left side, and then across the top, I like to put the weeks. I put the most current week closest to the left, and everything else, the further dated things to the past. The reason I like to do that is I like to be able to read right across the top and see, have my total sales fallen? Have my number of lead requests or requests for proposals fallen? You know, and the minute you start to see that go down on a weekly basis or even daily if you need to, you can get with your team and figure out where that information is coming from, what's the cause of it, and immediately enact some of the ideas that we're going to cover here in a few minutes to counteract that. So again, these are all things that you want to be looking at right now. Don't hesitate to ask your accountant or your bookkeeper to help out with this. If your accountant or bookkeeper can't or won't, my soapbox on that is that's pretty sad. That's part of their job to help you through things like this, offer to pay them for it. But if they won't, I will. Reach out to me. I can help you with that stuff. Also evaluate likely revenue. So this is a little different. Every business, most businesses I should say, have recurring revenue that probably won't be impacted by this so much. Their contracts, leases, things like that. And then most companies also have non-recurring revenue. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But determine your recurring revenue, sales that are likely to continue, the likely lost revenue that you can likely identify at this point. And then what does that new number do to your profit? And what type of cost reductions might you need to look at? Or what type of new revenue might you need to generate? Remember, Millionaires and billionaires were made in the recession and in the Great Depression, at least millionaires. People are still buying. This is a challenging set of time. People are getting hurt. I don't want to understate the negatives. However, there is opportunity in everything to serve, find new ways to deliver products and services. And again, I'm happy to explain any of these things if your accountant can't or won't help you. Maybe they're booked because it's tax season. Evaluate sales, increasing revenue. So change and the speed of change is always uncomfortable. How do you handle it? Well, one of the questions you got to ask yourself is your target market still buying? If your target market isn't still buying or isn't still buying what you're selling, is there another target market who might need you more than ever? If you're running a co-working facility, you might have done a lot of business in the past with people who are self-employed. Well, gosh, there's probably some people who used to work in a corporate office that now both their kids are at home, and they can't be there and get anything done. I've talked to plenty of people who are in that situation. That might be a new market. So think not only about your past target market, but emerging and current target markets. Do you need to add another market? Can you sell online? Can you find other vendors who serve the target market you want to reach? Reach out to those vendors. Ask them if you can do some co-marketing together. What related products or services are in demand that don't go too far out of your current product offering? You got to be careful completely reinventing yourself because you can lose your message, lose your way, and dilute your product offering. But we do need to be thinking outside the box. Here's a cool example. Christian Dior has gotten into the hand sanitizer business instead of just cologne. How can you sell toilet paper? That's a euphemism or an example, but if you can sell toilet paper right now, you can make some money because evidently the stores are out of it in a lot of cases. Brainstorm with your team and industry peers. If you don't have an industry call that you're a part of, find one, get on a call. And I'm going to offer some calls here locally as well. Do trial programs instead of telling your team, this is the direction we're headed. Tell them that we're going to do a trial program for a while and see how it goes. And then with customers, offer additional value, buy one, get one free. Got an electrician client who instead of just showing up and taking care of what you ask him to do, we decided that he's going to offer a free electrical inspection while he's already on site of the rest of the house. So find other ways to add value. Conserve resources, everything from cash to personal energy. Let's not squander it. Now's not likely a time to take advantage of a 5% discount and buy a year's worth of membership of something. If you can get your clients to do that, maybe that's another story, but cash is king. We don't know how long this thing's going to last, and it's good to have cash. Ensure stock, and what I mean by that is the supply of the materials you need to do your business. Find out where your vendors are getting their supplies from, and how many days of stock do they have at their current run rate of sales. You want to make sure your vendors have a good 30-day plus supply of everything you're going to need. Doesn't mean you need to buy it, but maybe you have a weekly call with your vendors, just to make sure that you're not going to run out of things that are absolutely critical to your business. And then you'd be shortchanging your customers. And then ask, where can you reduce cash or reduce costs rather? You may not need to take any steps right now. If you're down 10%, I'd probably look for 10% of costs cut right away. But you might not have to take draconian measures at this point. But watch it by the week. Have a plan for what cuts would you make at a 10% reduction, a 20%, and a 40% reduction. Write down the line items. God forbid, write down the people. But have that plan in advance so it's not so difficult to execute at the moment of truth. Now is also a good time to renegotiate leases and other commitments. Reach out to your vendors. Ask them how they're doing. Thank them for being a partner. Ask them if they're giving away any incentives. Take advantage of them in a good way. Slow expenses down, postpone. I addressed that. Do keep marketing and selling. And keep asking the question, how do you reach your target market? Now evaluate your marketing. Make sure you get the best out of it. That comes a little bit further down the road. I'm going to talk about it. Shorten your credit terms. Now is not the time to be giving people extended payment terms. Be really careful with that. Other people's money, getting credit while credit's available is great. Reduce payment terms if you can. Get prepays from your clients if and when it's reasonable. And then credit, a lot of people are saying go out and get credit. I think it's a great idea because money is cheap right now. Obviously, be careful. We don't want to rely on credit before we need to, but it's good to have it for in case you need it. Depending on your cash position, if you got a ton of cash and no debt, who needs credit, right? 7A, active leadership. Leadership is a contact sport. I addressed this a little bit earlier in one way, communication. But, many things have changed. We have to make sure that we're available to our teams and that we're probably more present and on site, or present can be via email or phone communication if your office is not a working office place right now. This isn't an environment where you can just say, well, you know the playbook, let's just run it. There's going to be things that come up that people are going to have questions about that are just a little bit different, and you want to make sure that you're helping them with those idiosyncrasies or new situations. Remember, there are few leaders and lots of followers. Followers without leaders can follow each other off a cliff. So, I don't think anybody would, but now's not a great time to take your hands off your business. It's time to be more engaged and really lead. And again, these daily huddles, whether it's by phone, by Zoom, in person, get your team together on a frequent, predictable basis. Get them to give updates on the highest value activities of their job and the things that move your business the most, as well as just their concerns. But the concern, again, is make sure you put a time limit on these and you have a specific agenda so it doesn't wander off into never, never land. Operations, staff appropriately. This is the tough one. When business is growing, we add people. The sad side is if business falls, then we typically have to make adjustments. Determine your labor cost, what your labor needs to be to support the level of sales that you're likely to be at. Here's the thing you got to remember. The business is what's taking care of everybody. If the business fails, multiple people get hurt. This doesn't have to be an all or nothing proposition. I'm working with clients on a daily basis about switching people from hourly rates to a lower hourly rate plus commission, or going from full-time to part-time, or going from full-time to on-call. There's a variety of ways to handle this. These are conversations, things you need to think about, and conversations you need to have with a very tight-knit group or a third party. And then when you're ready, you need to make sure you share some of this, share this information, what your plan is with your team. If you are making cuts, obviously you don't want to do those in a public environment. You gotta talk to those folks individually and then tell the team what you did, how you did it, why you did what you did, and that it was for the good of the business in the long term. And make sure your team knows that any decisions that you make are for the ultimate best of the most people and for the business long term. We tend to think people know that in times like this, people can get distrustful. And the more we communicate, the better. There's just a few other things that you can do on here. Again, questions, feel free to follow up with me. I'll make time for you. Then you got to look at operationally what needs to change. The smaller the company, the faster that they can pivot, therefore pivot. What other changes? Work from home, that those horses have probably left the barn. But if you do that, what are your availability rules? What are your communication rules? What level of accountability do you have in place to make sure that performance is still happening and results are still happening? It can be disastrous if we just let people work from home and we don't have any level of communication or accountability. Not everybody is a responsible adult who has experience working from home. So just keep that in mind if you or anyone you know is going down that path. Don't go too long without putting accountability in place. It can create a lot of bad feelings, ill will, and distrust. Do trial programs, another theme that I've mentioned before. Anything you're doing, tell people this is a trial program or a pilot program. We're going to reevaluate it weekly and adjust as we need to. If you're working remotely, do you need better microphones? Do you need better cameras? Think about the tools that you need to make the new operational realities work. I talked about meeting and reporting. What's customer service going to look like? We got to make sure the customer experience is still fantastic and world class. So if you want to know how it is, call in and test your own systems, or have a friend call in and record the call. You got to make sure that everything is still high quality. And then little things like how are you going to handle banking and mail. So operationally, we need to figure out what works and what doesn't. Next, online or deliveries. CVS is doing deliveries. Most restaurants are still doing takeout. What can you sell? And yes, order online. If you can do more online, do it. Some of the things, I probably got more on this on another slide, but many businesses are adding delivery services, but many businesses are adding education services. What a great time to offer free advice that helps people about something you're a subject matter expert on. Build a Facebook community, build a LinkedIn community, build a weekly webinar or a call or a private Facebook group. These are all things that you can be doing to establish more of an online presence. Make sure you staff appropriately. If you're going to have drive-up service, for instance, doctors and dentists are doing that now, where a lot of them, you don't even wait in the waiting room anymore. You show up, you text or you call, and they come out and let you in. Just make sure you're staffed to take care of those things. A lot of these are no-brainers, but this is really a checklist, right, folks? Packaging. If you got a warehouse and you have shipping involved, you got to figure out, make sure you still have people who are packaging things for your most important accounts. And again, communication with customers. Let them know what you're going to do, why you did it, and how soon you'll update them on next steps. Improve marketing. Yes, this is a great time to improve marketing. I'm not saying cut marketing, but let's just start with the mindset of, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to get my sales back where they were or keep them where they are. Let's have that mindset. And what would we have to do, or what might we have to consider? How might we reestablish our sales where they were? Who might we need to talk to? What target markets, again, might we need to engage with? What efforts, how much time per week can I put into doing something new that might attract more people? Maybe it's a webinar that shows people your facility and the uniqueness of what you do. Lots of things that you can do here, but it's also a great time to track the individual performance of different types of marketing. Make sure that when people do inquire, whether it was your website, whether it was Facebook, whether it was radio ads, TV ads, what have you. And then measure that and do more of what's working. And gosh, maybe you do less of what's not working. Eliminate marketing doesn't have an ROI. I kind of touched on all this before. This last point's pretty important. I think it's intuitive for most people. But in a good economy, we talk about making things better quality of life, convenience. Those tend to be the buying motives of people. In a down economy, people's buying motives change pretty rapidly. They think about security, think about cost cutting, they think about information, communication, staying in the game, longevity. How are you gonna protect me? So make sure that all of your marketing that you've done over this great summer season that we've been in, make sure you review every piece of your marketing and make sure that any message that needs to change, even for a period of time, that you're speaking to it. I've heard some commercials lately that are talking about it's a great time to buy a home and it's a great time to invest. Maybe some people would debate that. Again, improving your marketing. Increase, don't decrease. Here's the thing. Your competitors, I address this a little later, but I'll bundle these together. There's a competitive opportunity out there. Your competitors, there's a good chance they are hanging their head and they're sad and they're wondering what they're going to do. You're not. You're on calls like this. And you're probably doing other things as well. Take advantage of this time. Negotiate rates with your marketing organizations. Consider small trial marketing, pay-per-click, SEO, search engine optimization, other things you haven't done before. Create new offers and rates. I've got a workshop coming up online Friday the 27th. You can go to Coach Mike Cooper at eventbrite.com. There's no charge for it. And I've done this webinar or this seminar before in good times. The message is going to be a little bit tweaked to some specific things that you can do in tough times or challenging times. So make sure that you take that in consideration, whether you come to the online event or not. Make sure that you take a look at your marketing. Increase repeat business. Did I say, it's coachmikecooper.eventbrite.com. Thank you, staff, for that correction. It's always great to have somebody in the room with you when you're doing these. just to keep you straight. Existing customers, look, this is a time to do whatever it takes to keep customers. If you got to give them free service for a day, a week, add additional services. I know that lots of businesses, without even asking, they're upgrading your memberships. Smart businesses do that. I'm doing it with my clients. You should seriously consider doing it with yours. It's just smart business. Do it for a period of time. Let them know it's for the next 30 days, and then you'll reevaluate, whatever. But don't lose your good customers. Existing customers are best. Do newsletters, updates, special events, create deals just for them. Online coaching is something that I'm doing now. I wasn't doing before so much. Keep customers at all costs. It's a mindset. Communicate it to your team. Let them know we do not lose customers. If we're going to lose somebody, it's going to be our choice now more than ever. And communication, again, is vital. Okay, I said it was the 11 steps. Now we're in the bonus rounds. I like to be a little bit of an overachiever, so hopefully you dig it. If not, and you got to leave, I understand. But here's number 12, new business mindset. Look, people buy in every economy. Become the company they buy from. There's money on the table right now. I trust that you're the better guy. You're the better gal. You have the better product. You got to make sure that they're spending with you, that you become the decision of choice. How can you improve your closing ratio? Whatever your enrollment rate from leads to new clients was, you got to take it up a notch. Look at your scripts. What are you saying to clients when they call in or they email? Look at those scripts. Are they sympathetic? Are they engaging? Are they speaking to the concerns, fears, hopes, and dreams of your prospective clients? Make sure that you're on message. Review everything that you do that's part of that front end. Make sure your sales team has the relevant information. Make sure that the end of sharing the benefits of your organization, they ask people, how do you compare? How are what you're seeing from us? How does that compare to the other organizations or options you're considering? Asking that one question alone has probably gotten me more sales than most of what I've done in my career. Because it takes the ones that are on the fence that you might not have gotten, and sometimes they'll open up and tell you exactly how you're not meeting up with the competition. And that's a blessing to know. You know, what are they looking for that the competition doesn't claim? So if the competition doesn't claim it, that means it's a uniqueness, right? Even if they're doing it, if they're not advertising it and claiming it to your prospect, it could be a uniqueness. Make sure you take advantage of the things that your competition doesn't claim. Also, most of your competition, as I mentioned before, might be challenged or down or feeling down in the dumps. Be the exception. This is something you're going to help people through. You're going to get stronger as a company if you do the right things, and you're going to come out of this thing swinging. Make sure you communicate that to your team. It's a good time to take business from competitors who are down in the dumps or not paying attention to customers. And make sure that more than ever, your marketing answers the question, WIIFM, what's in it for me? That's more important now, probably than ever. Again, communication is vital. Common theme, huh? 13, common sense. Over-deliver customer service. Social distancing. Yeah, I know. We got to do it. Use common sense. Social distancing is common sense. Maybe you call people more. Provide sanitizer. Have hand sanitizer, hand wipes. If you don't have any, you can probably buy aloe vera gel and rubbing alcohol. You can mix them together and make your own homemade batch if you have to. You know, in times like this, put people and their feelings first. Make sure even though you have a can-do positive attitude, make sure that you're putting people first and that they know your care and your concern. We can take that for granted sometimes, but again, distrust is not hard to build in a time like this, and neither is trust if you do it right. Be nice, take a chill pill. These are little things, right? Don't feed the panic. Number 14, we're coming down to the end here, folks. Some things that don't change. Cling to these. You know, what'll stay the same? The weather, it's still going to get warmer. We're going to have cold bouts. We're going to have rains, floods, good and bad, right? Things are going to break, AC, heaters, plumbers. People, they're still going to need folks to help them. These are realities. People do eat. Yes, many will stay home, and yes, many will eat out, take out, carry out. But restaurants, you know, some of them are going to have a really hard time. Some of them are still going to be fine. You know, what are the needs of your industry? Keep focused on that. I know it's a familiar theme. And here's the last piece. Create a plan. You know, if your team doesn't know your plan, If your vendors don't know your plan, your clients don't know your plan, we're losing trust when we don't do that. So we gotta have a plan. We gotta communicate it. This week or this weekend, if you don't have your plan or haven't articulated your plan, build it, articulate it. Again, folks, based on what we know right now, here's our plan. If things change, as things change, I'll come back to you. We'll communicate the change of our plan. Mindset, it's critical. Have a thrive mentality, not just survive. Yes, we have to survive, but why not try and have some fun doing it, right? Market during the pandemic. Increase sales with fewer leads. Increase your conversion rate. Run operations with lower revenue. How do you do that? Have a plan that includes all of these things. And then invest where opportunities exist. And then last, this leads to our transition. Learn, plan, and act. Don't procrastinate. You can create a basic plan in just a few hours. It's not that complicated. You know enough to get started. If you feel like you need help, get a second opinion. If you'd like a second opinion, find a mentor. If you don't know anybody who can help you, reach out to me. I'm going to have an offer here at the end where you can do that for free. And remember, a B, like old school, back in school, a B now is better than an A tomorrow. Perfection is probably not attainable right now because things are changing so quickly. So a B today is better than an A tomorrow. You can and should create your own deadlines. That's one of the neat things about creating your own plan. And then in a minute, we're going to get into chat questions. But before we do, just remember, ideas without actions are really just wishes, and they're missed opportunities. So again, I just really want to focus on that. Take your actions. After this call, list 3 ideas at least that you need to take action on. And then prioritize sales, profit, and people when you do. It's hard to go wrong if you do that. And ask yourself, are you prepared to build a plan to make immediate changes will enable your company to succeed and thrive in the next 30 days in a global recession that could last, who knows, weeks, months? Are you prepared to do that? Do what you can on your own. If you can't do it all on your own, get a second opinion. And again, I'm happy to help. If you'd like to talk about next steps, that's what I do. That's what we at Action Coach do. Here's some things that I'm offering right now. Complimentary personal follow-up conversation, 25 minutes, no charge. If I don't have a call immediate following, we can go a little bit longer. I'm initially trying to help as many people as I can, and my calendar's jam-packed right now, as you might imagine, with business owners who are really concerned about what to do. Tonight, here's some of the times. I had this set up on Calendly. I think that the overwhelming response of things online is causing some things to glitch, so I'm doing old school. You can email me. Here's tonight, 7:30 to 8:30. I've got one slot. Friday at 5. I could do weekend as a last resort. If you really want to talk, I'll make time. It's that important. I'm putting in extra hours because it's that important. Monday at 11 is an option. Tuesday at 4. And then I've got other options. Here's how you set it up. You can text me with your email and a time preference. Or I gave my email address a little bit earlier. It's mikecooper@actioncoach.com. It's best to text because then I see it coming across on my phone now, which is good. I can respond a little bit quicker there. I promise you, if I get double booked, I will find a time to talk with you. And then another option, you can sign up for the 5 Ways event. I gave that information earlier. Here are the topics we'll cover. It's all about sales, improvements, beliefs, tools. You'll get 300 plus strategies to help you improve sales and profit. It's a list. We're not going to go through 300. And it's Friday of next week from 12 to 1:30. And you can do that at Eventbrite as well. And then if you would like very specific help, I'm also sign up for the 25-minute conversation first, but know that I'm doing 3-hour, 4-hour, and 6-hour emergency plans with business owners, addressing whatever needs they need and walking through that with them together. And I'm getting a lot of requests for that. So if you request this, I'll send out this tip sheet with the PowerPoint. And now we'll move to questions. I'm able to stay till the top of the hour. Let's see, one question. I like what you're saying about reaching out to new partners. Our downtown restaurants and retailers give our co-working members discounts. This is from Jennifer Bell, by the way, at the Loom Co-working, to encourage shops to shop locally, especially with how they're hurting right now. This is a great time and approach for new businesses about offering discounts when they come out. Discounts when we come out of this. Yes. Any other ideas? I think to the degree that you can do group, what am I calling it? That you can do partnership marketing like that, I think it's a great idea. I think the degree to which that you can partner with businesses that are struggling, ask them to post your offers to their customer base, and then you can post your ideas and your their discounts to their customer base. That's going to be a big win. I've seen lots of other things. I'll give you some examples that might not be exactly what you're talking about. A chiropractor whose business is down, he used 4 hours to create online training sessions about the human body and things that you can do at home to improve the health of your body and your mind and your spine. An attorney did a 20 module segment educating, and he's building that consumer base. In terms of helping the businesses that are hurting downtown, maybe you sponsor a digital event where it's a private Facebook group that you invite people to, or a mass Facebook group where you invite people to a webinar, or a meeting's probably a better idea. And you go around the horn and you have every business talk about what they're actually offering. There's something personal about seeing people face to face that really transcends just digital, emails and things like that. So that's one other idea that I've seen that's working, where think of it about maybe like this. We all know about big events, trade shows and things like that. Yes, great idea. Yes, you could offer your podcast studio to local face-to-face professionals. Perfect, great idea. So the other thing I'm going to offer here, I don't have it set up on Zoom yet, but on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. for the next few weeks, and if I get told that I need to do it at a different time, I'll do a different time. I'm going to have a positive share best ideas meeting, a Zoom meeting, just for business owners to share best practices, a little bit of a mastermind, and then I'm going to do something on Fridays too. But I got to get a little further down the line to do that. So yes, let's see. Create content that you can distribute. Maybe, just maybe, a restaurant shows them in the kitchen with their gloves on, preparing people's favorite dish and taking a bite of it. And they post that video and they say, you can get this delivered to your house, or you can come by and pick up this restaurant. I've got a warm sample right now, made to order, and here's how you order via text or online or what have you. You got to make the human experience real. And I hate to say the suffering, but you got to put the cook in the kitchen, so to speak, and show what's going on, and people will see. I'll give you another great example. An HVAC company and a client of mine who's an electrician. I had my electrician client put the gloves that they're using, so they put the gloves on. The owner did. He put the gloves on. He put the alcohol or the Clorox wipes that their people walk in with, the booties that they wear on their feet, and the protective mask. That was the idea we came up with. He took a picture of it, posted it on social media, and then he did a video about the whole thing. It was brilliant. It's little things like that that humanize the experience. There's some people that are so freaked out right now. They don't want to buy anything. They don't want to buy anything they don't have to. There are other people who want to buy, but they're afraid it's not safe. So that same restaurant owner, then after they've shown this meal that they can prepare and how they make it safely and ensure that it's not contaminated, then they walk you through the process of how, when you bring it into your house, you move it from this container with gloves on to another container that's your home plate. Voila, it hasn't been touched, hasn't been contaminated. So there's just little bitty ideas from businesses I've talked to. Let's see, there was another one. Oh, florist who offered a bouquet of toilet paper. That's a neat one. It's funny, it gets people's attention, and she can sell it for a little bit of money. So those are just some of the things that I've heard. Any other questions? We're past the hour. I didn't mind going a few minutes over. Shoot me any questions you have via email. I caught everybody's email address if you registered, so I can send out an update of any other questions. I really appreciate you joining us this evening. There'll be more to come, and we're all stronger and better when we contribute ideas together. So again, thank you so much. Is there one more question coming up? Chris, if you have a question, go ahead and fire it up and I'll answer it if I can. Yes, amen. Thanks you, Jennifer. Any late questions come in, I'll just send them out to the group. But again, thank you so much. And if you want to set up that private time, 30 minutes, just shoot me the text and time. You got to do it right away because they'll fill up pretty quick. And I'll be happy to talk to you. So have a wonderful evening. Thank you for giving me an hour of your time during this challenging time and valuable time. And I'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you.
Great.
Cool.